Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm really glad that you're here and that we get to spend a little bit of time together here today. And what I wanted to do is just take a few minutes and bring you up to speed with what's been happening with me. And if you follow me on Strava, why you haven't seen me running recently, and maybe why I haven't posted quite so many videos. I love to post the daily training vlogs, me just out running and sharing my experience with what's happening with all of you. And I'd love to hear back from you guys what you're doing. But, I haven't been able to run for a while. And that's because I broke a bone, right? So I broke the fourth metatarsal in my left foot. And, so here's what happened. I'll share with you what I was doing at the time that happened. And, I was out on a run. And I was about 8.5 miles into a 10-mile workout that I had planned. It was nothing overly aggressive, just going out and having some fun and really enjoying the shoes that I was running in. And when I got to that 8.5-mile mark, all of a sudden I had a severe pain in the top of my left foot. And I didn't know what was going on. And it was so painful that I stopped. I had to stop, and I untied my laces and relaced my shoes, and thought, well, maybe it was just the upper. And I took off again after doing that, and I didn't go maybe 1/10 of a mile, if that. But the pain was bad. It was severe, and so I ended up just limping home. It took me about 3/4 of a mile to get home, and it was a long 3/4 of a mile, I'll tell you that, because it was really uncomfortable. And so, I didn't know what I did. I didn't know if it was some type of form of tendonitis or a stress fracture or what exactly had happened. But I did know enough not to attempt to run anymore. So I didn't. And, I was riding my bike and doing things like that I normally do if I'm not able to run, just to maintain some level of fitness. And, about 10 days into it, I went and saw my sports medicine guy, and they did an x-ray and examined my foot. And lo and behold, I broke my foot. And it was such a different experience when it comes to injuries for me, because in the past, when I've had a stress fracture, or really any injury for that matter, it seemed to come on in somewhat of a slow progression, where, it might be a little uncomfortable to run in. You notice that, on a workout on a Monday, and you go out on Tuesday, and it takes a little while into the workout, but then you start feeling a little uncomfortable, you get sore, that kind of thing. And, it progressively gets worse until eventually you decide that, it's not just some type of DOMS going on here. It's not a delayed onset muscle soreness type of a thing. That's something that is more serious that you need to get looked at. But it's a progression. It took a little while for it to get there. And, that's the experience that I had when I had a stress fracture in the femoral neck of my left hip, and, that kind of thing. But this came on sudden, and it was surprising. It just, I was coming down a slight hill, and I just hit a stride, and boom, my foot was in a lot of pain. So, so that's what happened. And it turns out that it's not a stress fracture. I broke it. And that was about 6 weeks ago. And, I've had 2 x-rays since then. The second x-ray was at about the 4-week mark. And at that point, it showed no significant signs of healing, that was disappointing, because, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for a bone to heal. And, I'm already now over 6 weeks into this, and it's nowhere near healed or ready for me to run on. I'm able to ride my bike, and mostly I've been riding indoors on a stationary bike. I've been using Zwift to help pass the time a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. And some of that's just by design. I can get a more controlled workout, and I don't have to worry about maybe taking a fall on my mountain bike, which has happened to me in the past, and making matters even worse than they already are. So my safe choice has been to be on my stationary bike. So if you follow me on Zwift, and you notice I haven't been running, but I've been riding that bike, that's that's the reason. That's why that I'm doing that. And I've also been rowing, using an indoor rower, that kind of thing to try to keep up with my fitness. But even after some of my workouts on my bike, primarily on my bike, my foot can be pretty darn sore after that. And I talked to my physician about it. He said that that's not hindering the healing process. So he said, I'm okay to do that as long as it's something that I can tolerate. But use common sense. If it hurts, then don't do that kind of thing. So that's what I've been doing, and we'll see how this goes. Like I said, I'm a little over 6 weeks into it. They say 6 to 8 weeks. I have another X-ray scheduled to check on the progress of healing on the 29th. So, it'll be over 7 weeks at that point. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that it shows some kind of signs of healing, that I'm making progress. I'm sure it will. I know just from everyday use that it's getting a little better here and there, but it still is uncomfortable. There are times when it feels okay. But then there are times, just recently, as early or as late or whatever as of today, when I was just walking across the floor and I stepped wrong, and pain just shot through my foot, and it was not comfortable. And a lot of times it feels bruised to walk on at this point, and swollen, because I still feel like there's a water balloon inside my foot sometimes, and that swelling can cause some pain and discomfort as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. And going forward, I'll take you along with me. When I go to see my sports medicine guy again next week, and kind of let you know what's happening. What it means for future races, I don't know. I had intended to start training for the Chicago Marathon on June 21st. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if it's realistic. Probably, if I do start training on the 21st, then it's going to be a really slow progression. I'll be counting on, my stationary bike and the rowing machine to try to maintain any kind of cardio fitness. And, I will likely start running again under reduced body weight conditions, whether it's a, 0G type of a treadmill, or if it's my lever system, something like that to get started. I'm hoping to be able to do, the Believe and Run Summer Grit, if I can get the words out, which I think is in July. I think they do that in July. I have to look back and see. I had a lot of fun doing the winter grit. That was it's a little extra motivation for me to be able to get out and do those things. But again, it might be a little slower progression for me as I work into the next training block. And that's okay. My expectation for Chicago at this point isn't to set a PR. I would like not to come in last, but to have some fun and be healthy and all that kind of good stuff, because I want to be healthy and to be able to run for a very long time. As many of you know, if you've been on the channel for a while, I watch my granddaughter Isla during the working day as my daughter and my son-in-law work. And so she's a real pleasure to have her around the house. Brings a load of energy. She's 9 months old. She's crawling and climbing up on stuff. And it won't be long as she'll be walking, which means it won't be long as she'll be running. Time goes by fast. And my dream is to be able to run with Isla. Probably, initially we'd start out like all kids start out, right? That 50-yard or 100-yard dash and the mile, and then, maybe a 5K, 10K. But I'd love to be able to run like the Boston Marathon with her. I think that would be so cool. I think that would be so much fun. So, it's a long-term goal, along with some of the other long-term running goals that I have, like doing the, all the world majors, which now there's 7, right? So instead of a 6-star finisher, I guess it would be a 7-star finisher. But, hey, Australia is pretty cool, so I wouldn't mind checking that out too. That would be pretty cool as the 7th world major marathon as a part of that. So anyway, that's what's happening with me. So a lot of healing to come yet. And I'll keep you updated. So I'm gonna start posting on a more regular basis. It's a bit more challenging right now because I do spend the working day, the business hours, as they say, with my granddaughter. So I think I might have to incorporate her into the videos for me to be able to continue to post on a more regular basis because there just aren't enough hours in the day to get it all done. But she's a real treat, and I think people would probably enjoy seeing her more than me. So that would be fun. Okay, so I would love to hear what you guys are doing. If you're preparing for a race, hopefully you guys are all healthy and out running and getting it done. And maybe I can live vicariously through you right now when it comes to running. What I intend to do is what I've been doing. I probably will try to get my mountain bike outside because I enjoy that a lot more. But to be safe, so I don't have the risk of falling that I do when I ride around town when I'm trying to get things done, is to go out to like the rails for trails, that kind of thing, and get my workout in out there, because it's just nothing but a straight line. Those are old train tracks, and so you don't have to worry so much about coming up to a stop or a car blowing through an intersection, or really pedestrians, that kind of stuff. I mean, all the kinds of things that can come up when you're out riding your bike or you're out running in a town setting like I live in. So anyway, so if you're curious, I don't know if you are, but if you're curious what shoes I was running in when this happened, I'm going to share that with you. So I brought those down with me, and I'm likely going to return them because I just don't have the desire to run in them again, after I broke my foot. Now, I'm not saying that these are I'm not sure. I'm not saying, if I can get the words out today, I'm not saying that the shoes were the cause of my injury. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that because I broke my foot wearing these shoes, I'm not excited about putting them back on my feet. That's all. It's the Saucony Endorphin Elite 2s. And they are so much fun to run in, but unfortunately, I just don't have the excitement that I once had for these shoes. And super bouncy, really fun. They are a really fun shoe to run in if you like that propulsive feeling. And probably the most soft, propulsive marathon running shoes I've ever had on my feet. And I really loved the first time that I ran in these. I think I ran in, I don't know, I don't remember now. It's like 10 miles, something like that. So I talked about it in a video when I was talking about these shoes. And then, it was probably a week later, I decided that I wanted to, have a little dessert. And so I put these on my feet, right? And went out for a nice, easy run, just a fun run, just to cruise around town in these. And that's when I broke my foot. So up until that point, I was having a good time running in them. And it was such a surprise when that happened. And so, again, I'm not blaming it on the shoes. It's likely that, I had overdone it, and the bones were just at that point, at the breaking point, unfortunately. So I'm not saying that they might not be a good shoe for you, but I'm not too excited about putting them back on my feet. Now, I might do some comparison videos. I've got them now, and just weight and fit and all that kind of good stuff with the other super shoes that I really do enjoy running in and have had a lot of success in running. And that would be the Alpha Fly, latest version of those, the latest version of the Vaporfly, and the Adios Pro. Those are really my top three go-to shoes when it comes to long-distance running, marathons, that kind of thing. I know that the Vaporfly, many runners are excited about those at shorter distances, like up to a half marathon. I think it just really depends on what you're going for. My pacer in Detroit when I ran there was wearing a pair of Asics Keanos. So, he wasn't in super shoes at all and had never run in a super shoe. And, he was my pacer. And, he came in under 3 hours and 20 minutes and didn't have any trouble doing it. At least it didn't appear to me that he's having any trouble doing it. I think at one point during the race, I was chatting with him. You got a lot of time on your hands, and I'd said that I aspired to be at his level of fitness someday, and I still do. I'm getting older, so I just want to slow down the loss of my fitness over time now. I'm not looking to make great gains. I'm 59 years old, and what I want to do is just slow down the loss of my speed, I guess, over time. So I don't expect to make great gains at this point in my running career, but I'm still having a lot of fun, and I plan to run for a long time yet to come. So I hope everything's going great with you guys. That's it for today's video. I just wanted to kind of take a minute and bring you guys up to speed, and hope that you're really having a good day today. And thanks for making it to the end. All right, as always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Run Tall with Tim.